Well, Rachel, thank you. And I've enjoyed working with you and your family. And that's a nice plug for what the foundation does. We unite donor passions with university priorities. So, talking about the other flip side of that, in my job, I often get campus partners reaching out to me saying, we have this need. We need money for this. And that's how I met Kathryn. And Kathryn reached out to me, told me about this amazing program that the university does. And I thought, I will absolutely find you some money. And B, I'm going to give you a captive audience that is going to find this equally interesting as I did. So, Dr. Kathryn Weinland is a teaching associate professor of psychology at OSU, where she coordinates the introduction to psychology classes across multiple sections and mentors undergraduate and graduate teaching assistants. She is a faculty fellow for the Hargis Leadership Institute and co-chairs the Leadership Educators Council, where she advances initiatives in leadership education. Beyond the classroom, Dr. Weinland serves as the faculty advisor for the Psychology Housing Living Learning Program and fosters and mentorships community and first-year psychology majors. She also leads the Payne County Jail Education Program, a partnership providing people who are incarcerated with opportunities to earn high school diplomas and provide volunteer faculty and graduate students with a chance to teach in the Payne County Detention Center. So please welcome Dr. Kathryn Weinland.
Thank you all so much. It's such an honor to be here. I'm just going to set my water up right here. My Pistol Pete water, because we're OSU, so everything's orange or Pistol Pete branded. So it's really so nice to be with you all today. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for Carrie Eubanks for the invitation. I was just thrilled and honored when she asked me to come here today. Thank you to my friend Rachel Conley, Madam President of the Stillwater Rotary. And it's always real fun when you have friends and then you see each other in your professional capacities, and so this is just great. So thank you all so much for having me here today. Before I get started, there are a few people I need to acknowledge as we get started. My colleagues, Dr. Melissa Mills from the Math Department at OSU, Dr. Eric Howerton from the English Department at OSU, and Dr. Howie Sanborn from Political Science at OSU, all are ones that I work very, very closely with through this program. They could not be here with us today, but their work needs to be acknowledged in this because there is a big team of us to get this program to go, and I just want to make sure to recognize everyone that is involved and has had a really big hand in helping this program get going. I also need to acknowledge and recognize the partnership that we have with Catholic Charities of Eastern Oklahoma, and the College of Arts and Sciences, where I am with the Department of Psychology, and then also the Payne County Sheriff's Office, which runs our Payne County Detention Center / Payne County Jail. There are a lot of different terms that you might hear me use for this. It's all the same place. It's all right here in Stillwater, and specifically Captain Lane is the person that I work with very closely over there, and so this collaborative partnership absolutely should be acknowledged, and want to recognize all of our partners in this. So again, thank you so much for having me here today. All right, so today I'm going to tell you a little bit about our beginning. It's a really personal story for me for how I first got involved with education. I'm going to try real hard not to cry, and so far that's not going great. So y'all are just going to bear with me. You already did. That's true. Okay, awesome. So that's out of the way. But truly, I texted a friend this morning. I was like, this program is so close to my heart, and it feels really vulnerable to talk about it, because it's like, here's a piece of my heart, and I'm just going to put it on display for everyone. And so thank you for taking good care of that. So a little bit about our beginning, the specific needs that we have in Payne County and Oklahoma, but specifically here in Payne County, the specific needs that we have, some really unique challenges when you're working in a county detention center or a county jail. You'll hear me kind of talk about it. I'm not aware of another program like ours in the state of Oklahoma, so we're a really unique program within our state, and there are some unique challenges with that. I'm going to talk about kind of how our program has grown to today and some people that were put in place and some ways that things were orchestrated to get to where we are today, and then also some lessons that we've learned, right? I like to say a college is a great place to learn. I tell my students all the time, if you can't make a mistake in a classroom, you can't make a mistake anywhere, right? So let's learn together. And so kind of what we've learned as we've done this going forward. And so with that, I'm first going to talk a little bit about how we got started. So I chose this quote from Brian Stevenson for my first visual aid. My visual aid might be a little bit, my visuals today might be a little bit unorthodox, but the reason why I chose this quote is because it talks about proximity. And when you see a need, how often so many of us are drawn into meeting that need or helping someone with that need because we are proximate to them, because we care about them, because their challenges or their issues become our challenges and our issues. When we live in true community, when we are good neighbors, to quote Mr. Rogers, when we are good neighbors to one another. And so our story, unbeknownst to me, began in fall of 2016. Here's where I'm going to cry, so you'll just bear with me. We're going to cry. It's going to be great. And it'll live on YouTube forever, so that's fine. So it began in the fall of 2016 when our family became a foster family to a young man. He was in the 9th grade. At Stillwater Junior High at the time, and became very, very close to him. And he became a part of our family, and read bedtime stories with our kids. Our kids went to his football games. Like, he really became part of our family. He was with us for 6 months. An opening in his previous foster family reopened, and so he went back to his previous foster family, which we were very excited for him that he was able to do that because he'd been with them much longer. Eventually was adopted by the previous foster family. We stayed in contact with them, attended the adoption. It was a very, very exciting thing. Unfortunately, a few days after he turned 18, he was arrested and incarcerated in the Payne County Detention Center. And so at the time, I reached out to Captain Lane when he was incarcerated there because I just wanted a way to stay in contact with him. And I called Captain Lane really just out of the blue and just said, "Hi, my name's Kathryn, and I want to come teach your high school education courses." And he said, "Well, thank you so much, but we already have someone who does that. We already have, that need met. But I'll save your name and your number, and if anything ever changes, I'll give you a call." So I said, "Okay, great." Talked to my husband about it later that night, and I said, "Well, I'm never hearing from that man again." Joke is on me because he did save my name and my number. And he called me randomly later, a few years later, which is how this whole thing got started. But this was from the fall of 2016. I called him, I wanted to say 2018 or 2019 is when we connected. And then it was a few years later before he even connected. So I think sometimes things just get put in motion in our lives, and we don't always know the significance of those things when they're happening, but we just trust that there is someone who is orchestrating all those things for good. And certainly this story is a testament to that. And so that's how we got started. But before I tell you specifically more about our program, I really want to set the context of why a program like ours is so important and some things happening within our state, specifically for why reaching out to these people who are incarcerated in a county detention center, why it is such an important need, specifically here in Payne County. So here are a few statistics. These are from prisonpolicy.org, specific to Oklahoma. So if every U.S. state were a country, these are the women's incarceration rates. And so Oklahoma used to be top 3. I think we're top 6 now, top 5 or 6. So we're just right underneath El Salvador. And this is for the number of 100,000 people that you have. These are the numbers that it's incarcerated. So in Oklahoma right now, for every 100,000 women, 222 are incarcerated. And that is more than the United States average. That's more than any of our peer or other countries, as you can see in that middle graph. And so it's an issue. With that, there are kind of two things of kind of how I step in. So those are some national statistics and kind of where we are nationally. Specifically for our program, the graph there on the left is about the recidivism rates. And so, once someone is released, are they going to come back to jail or not? And hopefully the answer to that is no. But as you can see on the graph there, if someone has their high school diploma or their GED, their chance of recidivism drops dramatically. And that is true for every racial group. Just getting your high school diploma or your GED equivalency drastically reduces the chance that you're going to be back in jail again. It increases the chance that you're going to be able to go out into society, be a productive member of society, stay with your family, help provide for your family, be a mom to your kids, specifically for a lot of women that we work with, where you're not back inside the jail again. They don't want that, and so this access to education and empowering them with this educational opportunity really is the best way to help make sure that they don't come back to jail again. And the statistics back that up. Specifically within Oklahoma, where is everyone being incarcerated? As you can see, for state prisons, about 22,000, but 9,200 in local jails, again, according to prisonpolicy.org. The issue with that, and something for why I'm so grateful that we're able to work within the Payne County Jail, and why Captain Lane does so many things that he's really not required to do, but he does that. Why I'm so grateful for that is because in the county jails, they just don't have, and this is a statewide thing, there just aren't the resources for the people who are incarcerated there. So like a lot of our students who are female, might get released to like Mabel Bassett here in Oklahoma, and they're wonderful. They have education programs, and they're in the news recently for like doing a marathon training with their people, and they all ran the Oklahoma City Marathon just within within their own jail. So they have all these amazing programs, but at the county detention center, people are typically there, and this is not my area of expertise, but from what I understand, people are typically there for maybe lower level offenses. They're waiting until they can get released, until they're serving their time. A lot of them are there because they can't afford their bail, so they are waiting on their court dates because they can't bail out. And that's really a lot of what we see here in Payne County, or they're waiting to get transferred somewhere else. And so we do work with a lot of people who are there because they can't afford their bail. They can't afford to go back out while they're waiting for their court date. And that's directly tied to the fact that they just haven't had the same educational resources that a lot of other people have, because they just don't have those financial means to post their bail and go and be a productive member of society while they're waiting on their court date. And so that specifically is where we kind of come in. We went to a conference recently for this. We are the only ones there who are working with detention centers. Most people who run programs like this are working at the larger statewide institutions. Our program here is a rarity that we're able to have not only the access, but have some success with people. And so it comes back to kind of asking ourselves, as a land grant institution, how can we serve our community, right? How can we serve our community in a tangible way? How can we be a good neighbor to the people who are just a few blocks away? We drive a few blocks from my office on campus to the courthouse down here in Stillwater, and it's a completely different world. And so how can we serve them well? How can we treat them as our neighbors and provide them with the educational access and opportunities that they need in order to be thriving, functional people in society? So that's where we come in here with the County Detention Center. So a little bit about our program and some specific challenges that we have and kind of how our program works. Simple, modern, Pistol Pete, so yay. So a little bit about our program and how it works. So there's some unique challenges. So first of all, Captain Lane obviously did return my call. So when I told my husband that I was like, I will never hear from that person again, thankfully I was wrong. It's good to be wrong sometimes. And so I'll go through the specific timeline on the next slide. But some specific challenges within a county detention center is that we first of all don't have access to the internet. And at like Mabel Bassett, right? They have ways to have safe access to the internet. At a county detention center, you don't. We have to be really careful with the materials. We can't use staples. We can't use regular pens. So like in my office, I have this giant box of jail-safe pens that are there. So we have jail-safe pens that we use. Everything we do is printed material. We are with them for maybe an hour and a half a week. So we don't even have a lot of time with our students, and it really is back to basics for teaching. We can't show them a video. We can't do PowerPoint slides. I mean, it's a whiteboard with an expo marker and us and whatever worksheets that we have. And so it really is back to basics for our teaching. Our teaching is done behind like a yellow line, and so like in my classes at OSU, I like to circulate around the room and talk to people. We can't do that. We have to stay behind the yellow line. So there are a lot of unique challenges specifically to even do the high-set testing. So we use the high-set testing because with GED, that is only available online. You have to have internet access to do that, and we don't have that here at the county detention center, which none of the county detention centers do. So the high-set kind of solves that because they do paper-based testing. And so it's 5 subject areas. It's math, language arts reading, language arts writing, social studies, and science. And so to get your high school equivalency, someone has to pass all 5 subject area tests. And again, these are done paper-based tests that we do after only being with our students maybe an hour and a half a week for a very limited amount of time in a very hostile environment. And so it certainly is very challenging. Our pass rate is actually equivalent to the national average, so I'm really excited about that. I'll share that slide here in a second. So we have had success there, but certainly the environment itself is very, very challenging. So, and I think I said so a challenging environment, but we have had a lot of success with that. The reason why this is so challenging, this is also why our program really is an anomaly. I'm not aware of other programs in the state of Oklahoma who are at a county detention center or a county jail who have this educational opportunity because there are just so many challenges involved in it. And so the fact that we are able to really lean into our land grant roots and serve members of our community in a really meaningful way is something that I am very, very grateful to get to be a part of. So how did our program grow? For those of you who would like to scan a QR code, so basically you get your camera and you scan the thing. I always end up accidentally turning on my camera, and I can't ever get it to go, but so I end up zooming in. So I think that there's something else you're supposed to click, but these are just some examples of some articles that were written about our program. So we initially started in the fall of 2022. And it started with I was talking to my friend Melissa. She's a professor in the math department. And I was like, hey, I think I'm going to be getting involved with teaching at the jail. And she was like, hey, I've been wanting to do that. And I was like, well, let's do it together. So if I had one sort of story about this, it's calling in the network is kind of how this whole thing got started. So Melissa and I started teaching at the jail over there. Eventually, we brought in Eric Howerton from English. We also knew that we wanted to do the high-set testing, but high-set is also not approving any new high-set paper-based testing sites. So we had to find someone who already had a site license. Well, as Providence would have it, my friend Robin with Catholic Charities used to run the high-set program here in Stillwater, and they were ending that program, but literally at that same time, they had a site license that was going unused. And this all happened within just a few months. And so this whole thing was just orchestrated beyond my capability to plan things. And so so I talked to Robin, and she said, well, I'm going to talk to Catholic Charities. So we started sending Catholic Charities some pre-test and post-test data. So we would give a pre-test, we would give the class, give a post-test, and so we just started sending data to Catholic Charities to say, like, this program really can work. We started in the women's pod. The women really are learning things. And so in the fall of 2022, Catholic Charities officially came on board, which was really exciting. Robin actually came to my house, and she was crying, and I was crying, and we were very, very excited. Until this point, we just relied on donations from friends. So I posted an Amazon link on my Facebook page, and I still remember I just had boxes and boxes of jail-safe pens and curriculum books and worksheets and things arriving from my friends all across the country who believed in this possibility of a program. So I tried to find it. I have a picture of all the Amazon boxes. I couldn't find it for today, but it was a lot of things that our friends donated. Our first test from Catholic Charities was in May of 2023. And so we got them all involved, got them through the door, and then I just went out and I was like, oh my gosh, did that just happen? And just burst into tears. So I just cry a lot, so that's fine. So May of 2023 is when our first testing got started officially. So that's when our women were first able to start to officially take the subject area tests. Later that fall, we applied for and were approved for a community engagement grant through the College of Arts and Sciences at OSU. And that's when things became official. And honestly, I was kind of relieved because I was doing this anyway, but it wasn't like an official part of my job. And so I was like, well, I hope that they're okay. I've been doing this. I'm either about to like get celebrated or get fired. And luckily, I got celebrated and we got the grant. So that was good. I was like, I'm going to do it anyway. I really hope you guys are on board with this. So they were. So we got the community engagement grant in the fall of 2023. The Okali wrote some articles about us, so those are linked up there. We had the podcast episode, so we kind of gained some momentum. And that's when we were able to officially go with our community engagement grant and officially be partnered with OSU with our grant. The next year, in the fall of 2024 to 2025, we expanded to the men's pod. Because it turned out that sometimes in the female pod, everyone there already had their degree or they were not interested in classes, and that's okay. So that next year is when we expanded to the men's pod, and so we've started testing men as well and have had some success there. We also traveled to a conference. Like I've said, we were the only ones actually that we met that were there at a county detention center. And also this is when the foundation came on board with Kara Eubanks. We had a donor reach out. And again, this is a story of like how there has just been provision for this program the whole time. We had a donor who reached out and said, hey, I really want to support something that helps women and also helps women who are incarcerated, and I want them to do with education. Do you happen to have anything like that? And Kara's like, well, actually. so we got our first donor, and the foundation became an important partner for us. So looking to now and beyond, we have a current network of over 15 volunteer faculty and graduate students. They are from departments of psychology, mathematics, English, history, microbiology, and molecular genetics, and political science. And they help teach and provide curriculum support. We are still going strong with our classes every week in the women's pod, sometimes the men's pod, so we just kind of see where the people are and what the needs are when we're there. And like I've said, we are one of the only, if not the only, program like this in a county detention center. And we have ongoing goals to collaborate with the OSU Foundation to hopefully create an endowment for our program so that our program has a little bit more financial stability. So what's the success rate? How are we doing? Actually, we're really excited about this. Since our inception, so we started testing in May of 2023, so 2.5 years, we've had 55 individual subject area tests that have been passed, which we're really excited about. For our fail rate, it's just under 20, and actually our cancel rate is a little bit higher than our fail rate. And so more people we've had to cancel tests for just because they're no longer there because they get released so quickly than failing. And so I'm really proud of that. So out of all the tests we've given, it's about a 60% pass rate. If you don't include the tests that are canceled, we have about a 75% pass rate, which is really, really exciting. The national average is about 79 to 80%, so we're right on par with the national average. And we're only with our students for maybe an hour and a half every week. We also, it's very, very exciting, we have 5 diplomas that we have awarded in the Payne County Detention Center since the start of our program. So 5 people have earned their high school diploma in the past 2.5 years. It's the first time in Payne County history that they've been able to do that. It's okay to applaud. We can applaud. We can applaud at that. 5 people, and we also have 2 students who have gone on to earn their diplomas after they were transferred somewhere else. And so they started with their studies here in Payne County, and then they were transferred and went on. And so what are some things that we are learning? So 7 total, 5 within Payne County. So what are some things that we are learning? And I know I have like 2 minutes left, and so y'all are about to get a firsthand look of what it's like to be my students, where I'm like, all right, let's talk about everything in 2 minutes. So what are some things that we're learning? It's such an importance to see people first and use people first language. That is a change that we've made. And even some of the headlines that you maybe saw, we've kind of gone away from using that language, and we like to say students that are incarcerated or people that are incarcerated. We have this unique ability, the quote on self-efficacy with Albert Bandura. We have this unique ability to come alongside people in a very, very challenging moment of their life. For some of them, the most challenging moment of their life. And to provide them with some hope. And to help them know that they do have the skills and the abilities to be successful. We hear all the time, well, I wasn't good in school, or I can't do this, or I haven't been able to do this. And then to see them transform in our classes from, I can't do this, I wasn't good in school, to, oh my gosh, I just passed a subject area test in math, how did that happen, is the most meaningful thing that I have done in my professional career. We also have to realize that sometimes it's more of a cha-cha, right? This is not a perfect program. Even recently, we had a group of people that were ready to take the math test. We got to the math test, and everyone got released, like the day before their test. And so that's going to happen sometimes, and that's okay. So you just have to think of it as a cha-cha, right? It's a step forward and a step back, and we're dancing, and it's great. Just a couple more things that people should know by who they are, not what they are. And that mistakes have the power to turn us into something greater. And I really do believe this. It is a privilege and an honor to get to serve our community in this way. It is a privilege and an honor to get to have them transform their lives through education and through access to education. And truly, this is one of the most meaningful things I've been able to do with my life. I'm very grateful for the support of OSU, for the support of the College of Arts and Sciences, for the OSU Foundation, and for the land-grant mentality of our university, where we're committed to serving our community members in a very tangible way with access and support with education. So that's all I have for you all today. Thank you so much for listening. It truly is an honor to be here. And I think we have 4 minutes if anyone has a question. Okay, yes.
So that group that was released the day before they could take the test, could they go outside and take the test? Could they continue with it even though they were not still in the facility?
They can. So we do tell them about community partners while they're with us, but when they're released, it's kind of their decision if they're going to continue that after they're released or not. So they could use that knowledge to go to one of our community partners and take the test after they're released.
So those community partners, are there community partners here in the area they can go to?
Meridian Technology Center offers high-set testing and classes for students within our community. Yeah, that's a great question.
Do those tests? Oh, good job. That was what you're supposed to do. I never do that. Do those tests come with fees though? Like if you get out and you have to go test at Meridian, does it cost?
It's my understanding that yes, but I'm not a super expert on the logistics of that program. So there might be some sort of a fee waiver that they offer. I'm not really sure, but that is one of the advantages of them being able to test while they are incarcerated, because Catholic Charities covers that fee for them, and they're able to focus. They haven't been released, and so they're really able to focus on their studies. Yeah.
Any other questions? Nothing? Okay. Well, thank you so much,
you so much.
Kathryn. We appreciate you being